All right, welcome to our masterclass on Deepseek. Now, if you're building with AI, this is a name you absolutely need to know. It represents a huge shift in who gets to innovate, and we're going to break down exactly what that means. So let's get right into it. For years, the whole AI world has really been run by just a handful of giant companies. They've been setting the rules, setting the pace, but that's all starting to change. There's a new challenger in the ring, and they're not just bringing new tech, they're bringing a completely different philosophy. So here's our game plan for this class. First, we'll talk about what it means to be an open source challenger. Then, we'll get into the DeepSeek difference, what makes their models so special. After that, we'll look at the practical side with your new developer toolkit. And then, we're going to build a private AI together. And we'll wrap up by looking at why the future of AI is, well, open. Okay, first things first. Let's get right to the heart of what makes DeepSeek such a game changer. It all boils down to a totally different way of thinking about who should get their hands on this kind of powerful technology. The big idea here is something called open source democratization. And the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine a giant drug company discovers a cure for a disease. But instead of locking up the formula, they just publish it online for free. All of a sudden, any hospital, any lab, anywhere in the world could make that drug, making it cheap and available for everybody. That's pretty much what DeepSeek is doing, but for artificial intelligence. Okay, so that's the philosophy. But how does it actually give you an edge in the real world? Let's break down the DeepSeek difference, because we're talking about way more than just another AI model here. Honestly, it really comes down to leasing a car versus owning it. When you use a closed model from one of the big guys, it's like a lease. You've got all these restrictions, you can't pop the hood and tinker with the engine, and you're limited in what you can do. But with DeepSeek's open models, you own the car. You get the keys, you get the blueprints to the engine, you can repaint it, you can start your own delivery service with it, and this is the big one, your data stays with you. It never leaves your garage. And then there's efficiency. Traditional AI models are kind of like those old school gas-guzzling muscle cars. I mean, yeah, they're super powerful, but they need a massive engine, and they just burn through fuel like crazy. DeepSeek models, they're more like a modern, hyper-efficient sports car. You get all that same incredible performance, but they're so finely tuned that they sip fuel. They can run on so much less power that you can sometimes even run them on your own laptop. It's wild. Now, for all you developers out there, this might be the best part. DeepSeek has what's called drop-in API compatibility. Think of it like a universal remote. If your TV remote breaks, you don't have to go out and buy a whole new entertainment system. You just get a new remote, point it, and it just works. DeepSeek lets you switch over from other AI services just by changing a single line of code. That's it. All right, theory's done. Let's head into the lab part of our masterclass. What does all this actually look like when you, the builder, the developer, sit down to get some work done? So, remember that universal remote I mentioned? Here's how simple it is to use. Step 1, you get your API key from DeepSeek. Step 2, you add a little credit to your account. And step 3, in your code that's already written, you just change one little thing, the base URL. That's literally it. Your app is now running on DeepSeek. 3 steps. So easy. And the power you get with this goes way beyond just, auto-completing a line of code. You can have a real partnership with the AI. You can give it a command like this one. Ask it to find bugs, write the tests to prove it works, and then write the documentation to explain it. It's not just a tool anymore, it's a full-on collaborator. And this is so important, because a tool like this can boost your entire career. It's your assistant that helps you debug code at 2 a.m. It's your personal tutor when you need to pick up a new skill for a project. It helps you write those tricky emails to your boss or brainstorm solutions with your team. Heck, it can even act like a career coach, helping you figure out what your next big move should be. Okay, now for the main event of our lab session. Let's make this all super concrete and walk through how you can build your very own private chatbot. To pull this off, we're going to use a really clever technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. The absolute best way to understand RAG is to think of it as an open book exam for the AI. So before it tries to answer your question, it gets to first look up the relevant facts in a textbook that you gave it, your own private documents. This keeps its answers grounded in reality, making them way more accurate and trustworthy. So the whole process kicks off with what's called ingestion. It's pretty straightforward. First, you load your documents, maybe a folder full of PDFs from your computer. The AI can't read a 300-page report all at once, so you chunk it up into smaller, paragraph-sized pieces. Then, you embed each piece, which just means converting the text into a special number code, almost like a unique fingerprint.
And finally, you indexed all those fingerprints into a database that the AI can search through really fast. You've just created its private little library.
And this is where the magic happens. When you ask a question, your question also gets turned into one of those number codes. The system then instantly searches the library and retrieves the chunks whose fingerprints are the closest match to your question's fingerprint. Then it hands both your question and those relevant facts over to the Deepseek model and says, okay, put it all together and give a great answer. So what's the ultimate payoff for setting all this up? It's simple: total, complete data privacy. Because the AI model, your library, your questions, everything can run on your own computer. Your sensitive data never has to leave your control. We're talking company secrets, personal health records, financial data. It all stays with you. Period. All right, for our last section, let's zoom all the way out. What does all of this, these open models, this ability to run things locally, these powerful tools, what does it all mean for the future of, well, everything? What this all boils down to is a really powerful strategic choice that builders have now. You can start off by renting access to the AI through an API. It's super fast, it's convenient, and it's perfect for testing out a new idea. But then, once your project takes off, you have the option to own it by hosting the model yourself. That's when you get maximum control, top-notch privacy, and it becomes way more cost-effective. It's a rent-then-own strategy for building with AI.
And really, that's the big story here. This is the main takeaway from our masterclass. For the first time, truly powerful open models like Deepseek are leveling the playing field. They're taking the power to create, to invent, and to build the future, and putting it back into the hands of individual developers, small startups, and creative people everywhere.
This whole movement is changing the game. We're moving away from a world where only a few mega corporations could build cutting-edge AI to a world where anyone with a good idea and a laptop can create something amazing. So I'll leave you with this final question. Now that these incredible tools are in your hands, what are you going to build?